Hi, I'm Rick Kahler. Thanks for joining me today. Well, one of the most common questions financial planners hear from their clients, especially those nearing retirement, is how can I be sure that I have enough to live on for the rest of my life? Conservative advisors will typically tell clients that they can take out 3 to 5% of the income from their investments on an annual basis. That's called a withdrawal rate. This will keep the principal amount intact and help to ensure that they have a lifelong source of income. Recently, at the FPA National Convention in Seattle, I spent a lot of my time going to various courses and offerings on appropriate withdrawal rates. Now, Jonathan Guyton, who is a CFP with Cornerstone Wealth Advisors in Minneapolis, uses probably one of the best approaches that I've seen. His method offers a way to take more in income without jeopardizing your portfolio. He's used it successfully with his own clients for several years, and he's written about it in major financial planning journals. This isn't a have your cake and eat it too scheme. John is an experienced planner who is widely respected in the profession. He was gracious enough to join us on August 30th for a teleconference. Now, the standard research upon which most income projections are based assumes that clients will withdraw a fixed percentage of their total portfolio every year, plus adjust that amount annually to compensate for inflation. So under this method, a base rate of 4% will provide a secure income for about 30 years. Now, with a portfolio of $1 million, a 4% withdrawal rate means an initial income of $40,000 a year. If inflation averages 3%, for the second year, this amount would be increased by 3%, which is 3% of 40, would be $41,200 a year. Then next year, you add another 3% to that amount. Now, in this way, the withdrawal amount increases slightly every year. The fixed 4%, however, actually fluctuates. During times when returns are high, the withdrawal amount actually falls below 4% of the total portfolio value. In other words, it's the fixed amount of $40,000 divided by what is in the portfolio. So if the portfolio goes up a lot, $40,000 becomes less than 4% of the amount. When returns are low, it's just the inverse of that. The withdrawal rate may exceed 4%. Now, John uses this fluctuation as the basis for his more flexible approach. He commonly starts clients out at a withdrawal rate of 5.5% or $55,000 per million, which he then adjusts annually for inflation. But the catch to this is that clients need to be willing to adjust the amount withdrawn in years when the portfolio returns are low. Now, the method works as long as clients and planners follow the following guidelines. Number one, in any year with a negative portfolio return, you freeze the withdrawal amount for the following year instead of increasing it for inflation. Number two, anytime your withdrawal rate increases to 20% more than your initial rate, you give yourself a 10% pay cut for the following year. So if you start with 5.5% of $1 million and increase it by 3% every year, if after 5 years your annual withdrawal rate is $62,000, or your withdrawal rate is that, the market goes through a down period, so your portfolio at year 5 is still only worth $1 million, you are actually withdrawing 6.2%. The pay cut is to get you back to the target amount of 5.5%. Anytime your withdrawal rate decreases by more than 20% from the initial rate, you give yourself a one-time bonus of 10%. Then go back to maintaining the regular adjustments for inflation. Now, John emphasizes that another key to this approach is a diversified portfolio with approximately 65% in stocks. Conventional wisdom says retirees should keep less in stocks and more in bonds, but making such a move too early in retirement will not provide enough income to maintain the 5.5% withdrawal rate. Interestingly enough, I attended a lengthy presentation, very in-depth presentation at the Seattle FPA convention, which said of all the ways to withdraw money in the portfolios that are on glide paths, decreasing equities amount every year, there's all sorts of ways to do retirement portfolios. He found that the static portfolios and somewhere between a 60-40, 70-30 ratio really work the best. It's also important for clients to manage their cash flow so that they have a reserve. In John's experience, this usually isn't a problem. The method reflects the way people naturally tend to behave. If you have more, you can and probably do spend more. If you have less, you spend less. Overall, John finds that this approach significantly reduces clients' fears about leaving their assets. John's approach also very closely parallels my experience in 25 years of financial planning as to what works well for clients. Thanks for joining me.